This is Dream, the man that DreamSMP is named after, a man that evolved into the DreamSMP's greatest enemy, someone that everyone hates. He's manipulated his friends, killed, terrorized, traumatized everyone else on the server, and is now in prison. This is Quackity, the ex-vice president of Manberg, Schlatt's ex-Boo thing, the one that co-founded L Rapids, and the man that vows to take Dream down once and for all. What if I told you that these two characters aren't as different as you think? Recently, Quackity did an important stream when it came to developing his character and setting the tone for the future DreamSMP plotline. Long story short, in the stream, Quackity talks to Bad Boy Halo on the rooftop about the egg and the blood vines, takes Bad to his new country, Las Nevadas, visits Ghost Schlatt at his gym and makes a bet with him, convinces Sam to let him visit Dream with weapons, visits Dream in prison, threatening to torture him, walks back to L Rapids with blood on his face, and reminisces about all the good times he had there. Then it cuts to an IRL scene. Let's start at the very beginning of the stream, which opens up with a quote, "May the best day of your past be the worst day of your future." I know, there's scary red text, but let's focus on the first part, the best day of your past. Although it was a really long time ago, we can refer back to the best days of Dream's past. When he started DreamSMP with George and Sapnap, he was happy. They were one not so big, happy family. They were having fun together with their lighthearted banner as they made buildings like the community house. Although they didn't know it yet, they were making the first country or faction, DreamSMP. Now, if we go back to the best day of Quackity's past, we arrive at the creation of L Rapids, which wasn't called that at the time. After Manberg imploded on itself, Quackity wanted to create a new nation, one that had the greatness of LEMMiNO or Manberg, but one that was more of his own, hence the creation of Mexican LEMMiNO. At first, it was just him and George. But after some rebranding and gaining more members, Sapnap and Carl, Mexican LEMMiNO became L Rapids.
I'm just chillin' in Cedar Rapids.
I find it interesting that not only do Dream and Quackity have similar beginnings, but it's easy to notice that, in a way, Quackity replaced Dream. When Dream started acting out, George and Sapnap moved on to Quackity to go back to those simpler times of creating and building a nation. But what Dream and Quackity didn't anticipate is that these happy memories wouldn't last long. Dream's descent into what he is now started when Tommy joined the server. The SMP was calm and barely active, but with Tommy, the server gained new life and fresh perspectives. He brought mischief and rebellion, which Dream did not take a liking to. After being smothered by Dream's rules, it wasn't long until Tommy wanted to start his own nation along with Wilbur, and they wanted their drug cartel to flourish. Others on the server started to join LEMMiNO's side, framing Dream as the villain, and just like that, gradually, label theory went into effect. With his actions growing more and more malicious over time, Dream became the villain that everyone else saw him as. Let's move on to Quackity's turning point. After being mistreated by Schlatt and recognizing he was on the wrong side of history, Quackity developed the desire to take out those higher than him. Although it was obvious he was seeking power before, since he wanted to win the election and become the president of LEMMiNO, this new approach to gaining power strengthened him and gave him justification for his actions. When Schlatt died, Quackity celebrated along with everyone else.
Hey, that motherfucker's dead!
But later showed that he wanted to revive Schlatt for his own gain. We see Quackity exercise power when he rallies the Butcher army to execute Technoblade, and now we see Quackity determined to take down Dream. As you can see, there's a pattern here. Quackity clashes with those with power, recognizes these individuals, and then vows to take them down or use them for his own gain. Through Through these heavy circumstances, warped perceptions start to settle in. Among the long list of things that Dream has done to harm others on the server, putting Tommy through exile is definitely at the top of the list. Dream prohibited Tommy's friends from visiting him during exile, and he also destroyed his items daily, which destroyed Tommy's morale along with them. Later, when Tommy goes to visit Dream in prison, they chat about their past. Tommy talks about how exile is an experience that still haunts him to this day, and then tells Dream that he's a terrible person. Dream responds by saying this.
Well, everybody thinks they're right from their perspective.
That's not true.
I think I'm right. I did bad things, but I did them for good reasons, but...
What do you mean, good reason?
I just wanted to bring the server together, have it be like a happy family.
Here, we gain a peek into Dream's mindset and motivation. While it's important to acknowledge Dream's thirst for power, I think it's not too far-fetched to think that one's actions can be fueled by multiple motivations. Dream craved power. That was obvious. It's the whole reason he insists on keeping Tommy's discs. But despite his lust for power, I think his desire for a happy family could hold a bit of truth, especially because it lines up with his character's mindset in the past. I mean, the reason Dream had rules on DreamSMP in the first place was to maintain equality and peace on the server, and these ideas parallel this concept of a happy family. Through this prison visit, we learn a lot about Dream's way of viewing events and how he justifies his own actions. He views the pain he inflicts on others with the end justifies the means philosophy. Although Dream's intentions for this openness can come into question, I mean, this guy's a master manipulator, come on. The things he says about thinking he's in the right ultimately line up with his character and show his twisted view of the server's events. Now, on to Quackity. Quackity's skewed perspective becomes especially apparent when he grew desperate for the recognition of Mexican LEMMiNO. Instead of asking for recognition, he came up with this elaborate scheme to frame Eric for harming citizens of Mexican LEMMiNO, specifically Carl. For this plan, he planted explosives at Eric's castle and set them off while the other citizens of Mexican LEMMiNO were protesting. He then claimed that Eric attacked them and that they were the victims. Dream saw through this lie and called him out on this behavior. Despite getting caught, Quackity insisted that he was in the right. Quackity saw himself as the good guy, not because of what he did, but because of who he was going against.
What, is that what we're gonna go based off of now? That the entire server can be run by one goddamn person. We're not even allowed to voice our opinions now? What's going on?
Hey.
Since Dream had already shown himself to be a very cruel person, Quackity automatically saw himself as the hero. Although they often find themselves on opposing sides, Dream and Quackity both have the tendency to justify their harmful actions with some sort of twisted reasoning. They both believe that they are right from their own perspective, which leads to some malicious behavior. When you think of manipulation on the DreamSMP, you think of Dream. The two tend to go hand in hand. Although Dream has manipulated a lot of characters, such as Tommy in Exile or Tubbo when he was the president of Manberg, I want to shift the focus to one character in particular, Ranboo. Ranboo becomes a major target of Dream's manipulation due to pre-existing personality traits. Ranboo has memory issues, and therefore has to keep memory books in order to remind himself of his identity, relationships, etc. Although the line between Dream manipulating Ranboo and Ranboo's own dark thoughts is a blurry one, it's safe to say that Dream's actions have had a prominent impact on Ranboo. For example, in order to frame Tommy as a villain, Dream destroyed the community house, blaming Tommy for this crime. While straining the relationship between Tommy and Tubbo, Dream also took this opportunity to throw Ranboo under the bus by exposing Ranboo's memory book and labeling him as a traitor that was helping both sides.
You can't even run your nation right. Ranboo is a traitor. One of your most trusted friends.
No, that's not.
Okay, it is true. Read this book. Read this book.
Knew it.
Ranboo,
There's his memory book. He was
it?
meeting
Do
with
not
Techno
read.
and Tommy and told them everything.
One of Ranboo's core morals is that he's loyal to people and not sides. Ranboo sees taking sides as destructive and harmful, but Dream was able to utilize these circumstances in order to manipulate Ranboo's image in the eyes of others. After this, Ranboo makes repeated visits to his panic room, in which he is met with a voice. Dream's voice, telling him that he's a traitor and that he secretly helped Dream. The conversations with Dream's voice usually end up with Dream saying he's not real, showing that these conversations and voices are a product of Ranboo's mind. Soon it's revealed that Ranboo blacks out and carries out tasks and wakes up not remembering anything. On one occasion, his pickaxe is lost durability. breaking Dream out of prison, mayhaps? There's even a time when the items in Ranboo's inventory spelled he is in control. That leads us to the question, who is in control? Who is causing these intrusive thoughts and ender walking, as they call it? Some may argue it's Dream, others may argue it's Dream's divine counterpart, Dream XD, or perhaps a Dreamin, or maybe someone else entirely. Either way, all of this is beyond the point. The point is that Dream's involvement in the manipulation of Ranboo is undeniable, no matter the amount of control that Dream actually has. Now let's turn to another character, one that's been long overlooked and finally got some time in the spotlight, Fundy. In one of Fundy's recent streams, he walked into his tower, as he does, but when he walked out, he was in the middle of a desert. As he walked across the sand, he saw the LEMMiNO van. Then he entered a cellar where he found a book. This book was written specifically for him, by him, telling him that none of this is real and to wake up until he would. And he would walk out again onto the same desert and repeat this process again and again, with the cellar inching closer and closer to the tower each time, and with the book inside containing more and more information. With each time the cycle repeats, Fundy also grows more and more emotionally distressed. Although he wants to stop this cycle, he can't help but carry on and vie for the truth, because he feels like he has nothing to go back to on DreamSMP.
It's gonna disappear. And then everyone is gonna appear out of a bush and they're gonna be surprise. And I'm gonna be like, you guys, you're always pranking me, but you've always been there for me. Every single time. Except sometimes. When I needed you the most.
Fundy's pain parallels that of Ranboo, since they're both in a headspace where they feel as though they're struggling alone. This makes them both vulnerable to manipulation. Fundy starts to piece together information until he's warned,
do not join him. Whatever he asks, do not who's he? Who is him? His plans aren't as nice as they sound. His intentions aren't what you think they are. He will use you. He will destroy you.
Again, we're met with a question of who is he? Who's trying to manipulate Fundy? As the stream ends, with Fundy being chased by the Grim Reaper, wow, this escalated quickly, the screen cuts to this. That smile, the casino noises, Quackity. This foreshadows that Quackity will be the one to manipulate Fundy, or at least try to manipulate him. And let's not forget the eerily similar ending screens for both Fundy and Ranboo. The resemblance between Dream and Ranboo and Quackity and Fundy suddenly becomes uncanny. All of this character building leads up to the main event of Quackity's stream, visiting Dream in prison, and here, two parallels in particular caught my eye. As I discussed earlier, Quackity convinced, or should I say manipulated, Sam into letting him into the prison with weapons. As Sam leads Quackity to the main holding cell where Dream is, he glances at the smaller cells, saying,
You think I'll ever be in one of these? I'm kidding.
Not a very funny thing to joke about.
You know how I am.
This line especially jumped out at me as possible foreshadowing. We know Dream ended up in prison for his crimes, so for Quackity to make a comment like that, it brings to mind the idea that Quackity could follow in Dream's footsteps. Dream committed various crimes that landed him in prison, so with Quackity starting to display the same behavior, it opens the possibility that Quackity could end up in prison as well. The other parallel is Dream's reaction to being stuck in his prison cell with Quackity.
You didn't want to tell me.
You're not gonna kill me.
I'm not gonna kill you, but I'm gonna make you.
Sam!
I'm gonna make your last days
Sam!
in fucking prison hell.
Dream is a character that thrives off of control and composure, so for him to start yelling for help is very unlike him. If you watch Tommy's streams, the scene might seem familiar.
I have no idea.
What's going on here? Sam! Sam! Sam!
In the original situation, Dream was the one in control and Tommy was screaming for Sam's help. But with the shift in power, since Quackity has weapons and Dream is unarmed, Dream is now in this powerless position that Tommy was once in, and Quackity is in control like Dream was. This shift in power is a significant turning point. Like Quackity said, even when Dream was locked away in prison, he wasn't powerless. He found loopholes to gain control, whether it be something as small as burning his clock to make Sam visit his cell, or something as significant as killing Tommy and reviving him.
Even though you have him locked in there, what stopped him from killing Tommy? Nothing. Do you know what I'm getting at, Sam? He has power, Sam.
But now, Dream is in a position where he's at someone else's mercy, which leads us to question what will happen in the future. Let's go back to the quote from the beginning. May the best day of your past be the worst day of your future. As we covered before, the best day of Quackity's past was the formation of El Rapids, a place where he could be happy alongside his friends. But after the first day of visiting Dream, we see this memory spoil as Quackity tears down El Rapids. He knows the weight of torturing Dream and recognizes that it is far too much baggage to get his friends involved with. He knows that this would be emotionally straining for George and Sapnap, given that they used to be best friends with Dream, and so he cuts himself off. He lets George, Sapnap, and Carl create Kanoko Kingdom, leaving him behind to deal with Dream. When talking about Dream, I feel like his character is more up to interpretation, at least until the plot progresses. Because manipulation is so deeply ingrained into Dream's character, it's difficult to determine whether the sadness Dream feels in prison is genuine or if it's just another manipulation tactic. Still, I think one can argue that Dream displays glimpses of emotional attachment. For instance, he refused to speak to Sapnap when he came to visit him, perhaps because it would leave him too vulnerable to talk with someone he once held so close. We also see compassion in his attachment to Pissboy, the prison cat. We can connect this emotional attachment to how he may still feel about George and Sapnap. When Tommy visited Dream in prison, he asks,
Who do you miss the most?
I think you should go, Tommy.
If you can say Goggy, I swear to you. Who do you miss the most?
I think you should go, Tommy.
Dream's response seems dismissive, but not in an apathetic way, in a pained one. Although this could have been Dream putting up a sad front in order to victimize himself, I think it's also reasonable to believe that these emotions are genuine, and that the people he misses the most are George and Sapnap. This would make sense, especially given Dream's long history with his two ex-best friends. For both Dream and Quackity, some of the happiest moments in their past have turned into bittersweet memories in the present. Now, only future events will be able to shed more light onto these two characters. With Quackity's torture and manipulation, it's becoming more and more evident that Quackity will become what he swore to destroy. But that's just a theory, a DreamSMP theory. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, it'd be really nice if you could leave a like and subscribe. I'm a small YouTuber, so every bit of your support helps tremendously. If you have any other theories, feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to discuss DreamSMP lore with you guys. Again, thank you for watching. Bye bye.